If you're new in town or just new to this whole podcast thing, you're tuning in to Law by Night, the podcast that discusses all things vampiric with no fear of breaching the Masquerade. In this episode, we will be exploring the most powerful and influential sect found within Kindred society, the Camarilla. We will be discussing their origins, motives, and what sort of cultures these Kindred are used to in the safety of their Ivory Towers. No doubt you have heard of the Ivory Tower, another term for the Camarilla. They are a loose organisation that has vested interest in maintaining the status quo by enforcing the Masquerade, consisting of the 6 traditions we spoke about in a previous episode. Upholding the Masquerade prevents the growing mortal masses from discovering and wiping out Kindred. But there is far more to them than that, I assure you. But to truly understand the workings of the Camarilla, one must appreciate the origins in which they began. The idea of groups of vampires forming into such a large organisation began during the Dark Ages, where 2 growing movements made these Cainites rethink their way of living. First came the threat of a group of merciless hunters from the Roman Catholic Church called the Inquisition, who were, and still are to an extent, able to smite us to ash with nothing but their faith alone. Terrified, elders reacted by eagerly sacrificing the younger Cainites as a means of protection. This ignited the Anarch Revolt, where large numbers of younger vampires rebelled against their elders because they no longer wished to be manipulated by the older Cainites. There were some, of course, who wished that power for themselves. The founders-to-be, the Ventru Hardestat, the Elder, and the Tremere Councillor Melinda, recognised the need for a unified front. It is said they banded together with several of their most trusted children servants for a meeting in Vienna to agree upon a joint task force of sorts to use against the Anarchs. And thus the Camarilla was born, or should I say embraced. At around 1435 AD, where the founders began openly rallying support vampires from the dangers of the newly formed Anarchs, the invading Assamites, and the plentiful mobs of dangerous mortals. It would be some 60 years before peace agreement between the leaders of the Camarilla, the Anarchs and the Assamites were made. This was known as the Convention of Forms that marked the end of the First Anarch Revolt and the birth of the Camarilla as it's known today. Those who didn't accept the terms would form the Sabbat, a sect that believes they should enslave mortals and not hide their true natures from the mere cattle. But you may be wondering what this all has to do with you. The Camarilla has moved in large strides to assert its global dominance over the centuries, with varying degrees of success. Concerning other Kindred, the Camarilla's main duties involve upholding the Masquerade, the traditions and rules we discussed previously. As such, members of the Camarilla practice the path of humanity, whilst the other paths of enlightenment are strongly discouraged by any Kindred other than the Elders, for they are the ones who are arguably most detached from the kind in these modern nights. So don't piss them off. As such, you should quickly learn the various positions of powers, ranks, if you would, found within the ranks of the Ivory Tower, so when you meet them tonight, you know what they do and how to behave. The most influential member of the Camarilla beneath the Prince is arguably the Harpy, who are the opinion leaders and trendsetters that fellow Kindred seek when it comes to politics, style, and philosophy of a particular domain. The word of a Harpy influences the domain's attitude and can be a huge support in establishing a Prince's idea of Camarilla's status quo. It would, therefore, be unwise for a Prince to ignore the advice bestowed from the Harpy. If the Harpy is responsible for political enforcement, it would be the Sheriff who deals with more physical matters. Some are careful and precise, while some are brutish thugs who use this responsibility to legally bash some heads in. The Sheriff or Prince can appoint Kindred to assist the Sheriff. These are called Hounds. In these modern nights, many elders believe that the rise of Finbloods, Kindred or Generation 14 or higher, to be the bringer of the end times, which we refer to as Gehenna. It is the responsibility of the Scourge to remove such Cainites from a paranoid prince's domain. A prince can declare to hold an event known as Elysium, which is when a Camarilla court gathers in secret sanctuaries to discuss business. The organisation of such is down to the Keeper of Elysium, an honorific title with some practical responsibilities. When the Camarilla was originally formed, its members consisted of clans Brujar, Gangrel, Ventru, Tremere, Toreador, Nosferatu, and Malkavian. In the modern times, it now consists of the Banu Hakim, otherwise known as the Assamites, Malkavian, Ventrus, Tremere, Nosferatu, Toreador, and potentially members from Clan La Sombra. In a domain, each clan belonging to the Camarilla would have one member that acts as a figurehead, representing the ideologies of each clan. This member is known as the Primogen. In some domains, the Primogen is heavily involved with the domain's politics, rather than just being the eldest and most powerful member, so the title is quite the flexible one. At the heart of the Camarilla is the Inner Circle, a group who meet once every 13 years to discuss the desired direction of vampire direction, which is just as difficult as it sounds. The Inner Circle consists of one representative from each clan, usually the eldest, as it is only the eldest that could truly speak on behalf of the clan. The last three positions of power are all connected to each other. The eyes and ears and occasionally fists of the Inner Circle are the Justicar. It is they who decide the punishment for any kindred who has violated the Masquerade or broken any other of the traditions on a widespread level. A Justicar only serves for 13 years and their actions can only be challenged by another Justicar. Each Justicar selects and sells a kindred known as Archon, who act to fulfill the desires of the Justicar. Their title lasts for as long as the Justicar desires, but never exceeds the Justicar his or herself. Beneath the Camarilla law enforcement are the Alistairs, who are essentially the secret police. Whilst they serve many a purpose, their main job is to hunt kindred on the Red List, who are seen as dangerous criminals to the Camarilla. Favours, boons, and pledges of alliance circulate within the Camarilla, like currency in the mortal world. Each boon and favour can only be called on an individual basis, so there is no set of rules and regulations for them. Often, debts are exchanged for other boons or debts, allowing a fluid system in which the lines between friend and foe is often a messy blur. This is where you come in. When a fledgling such as yourself is presented officially before the prince and released from Just Noctis, your sire, or foster sire in your case, and allowed as a true member of the domain, they usually engage in the first act of prestation in the process. Official prestations like this are usually held in Elysium. Prestation is a sacred system to the Camarilla, especially to the elders who have spent centuries living by this system. It keeps the Camarilla society stable, for the most part, and more elders are being summoned by the beckoning, pulling them to partake in the Gehenna conflict in the east. It would be wise for you to pledge allegiance to the Camarilla, as the Ivory Tower offers a much-needed safety within its walls. But there are some who are becoming aware of our actions and have tasked it upon themselves to wipe us out. A second Inquisition is upon us, there is no denying that. Naturally, this has made many of us extremely worried, as there is plenty of evidence to suggest this new breed of hunters are far more organised than ever before. I have yet to ascertain the ins and outs behind some of the more recent assassinations and operations, but I will report back to you as soon as I can. Regardless, the Camarilla has responded by totally retreating from the digital world, as it was today's addictions to technology and social media that has caused the Second Inquisition's newfound aggression. Some princes have banned all online communication, even mobile phone conversations, in addition to cracking down on their interpretations of disloyalty. As you can hopefully see, the Camarilla is a sect that is built from centuries worth of tradition and routine, with a variety of systems built in place to minimize the kind from discovering our existence and ensuring that they are the dominant powerhouse in the modern Knights. But make no mistake, neonate, the Camarilla are not necessarily the good guys. The Camarilla is a rich boys' club, whose spoils only benefit anyone found within the sect. The rest of Kindred society can burn in the sun for all they care. Camarilla is a Spanish word, you know, one that literally means to mutually scratch another's back, a meaning that has found many convoluted workings within the sect over the centuries. To keep updated, follow the Law by Night VTM Twitter and Instagram pages to find out when we will upload each episode. You can also find out by subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking on the little bell, as you will be immediately notified when the latest episode goes live. Until next time, farewell.